There's a question most people never truly get an answer to, even after years of trying to work on themselves. And that question is this: why is it that stress or anxiety always seem to come back the moment life gets a little bit difficult? People often say things like, "I was doing really well," or "I actually thought that I'd moved past it by now," or "I was finally feeling normal again." And for a period of time, that might even be true. They feel calmer. Their thoughts do slow down. Life does get more manageable. And then pressure shows up, or work gets a little bit crazy, or expectations increase. Something unexpected might happen. And suddenly, the same experience returns. The body tightens. The mind speeds up. Thoughts begin looping again like they did before. Overthinking comes back with a vengeance, and worry returns. That familiar inner pressure starts building again. And if this has happened to you more than once, let me tell you something right now. It's not random. It's not because you failed. And it's not because something is wrong with you at all. It's because something fundamental about how the mind works was probably never explained to you. So today, I want to give you that explanation. And I want to do it the Nordic Mindset way, of course. Because once you understand this, you can stop blaming yourself. And you start stepping into the role of leadership that your mind desires you to take. So here's why feeling better can be misleading. Most people measure progress by only one thing: how they feel when life is calm. When things slow down, the nervous system naturally relaxes because there's less demand, there's less pressure, fewer decisions to be made, and fewer things pulling at you. And in those moments, it feels like the problem is solved. You might be thinking, maybe I'm finally over it. But here's the truth. Feeling better in calm conditions doesn't mean that the underlying response has really changed. It simply means that the system was not being challenged. And this is where so many people lose trust in themselves. Because they think, I lost progress. But in reality, the progress was never trained under pressure to begin with. Calm isn't proof. Calm is just the absence of a trigger. And Nordic Mindset is not about feeling good only when life is easy. It's about training the mind to stay steady when life isn't easy. So mental distress is actually not contagious. Let me make something very clear. Stress, anxiety, depression, even overthinking or constant worrying, these are not contagious diseases. They're not. You cannot walk past someone in the supermarket, and because they sneeze next to you, now you suddenly caught anxiety. That's not how anxiety works at all. Mental distress does not spread like a virus or a bacteria. It's not something that jumps from person to person. These experiences are created for one reason only, and there really is only one reason. It's the way we manage and control and handle our thoughts, the way the mind has learned to respond. So stress isn't something life gives you, and it's not your boss's fault either. Stress is something the mind produces based on how it interprets pressure. And that's where everything kind of begins. So what does the mind do when pressure appears? When pressure increases, the mind doesn't pause and ask, what's the healthiest response right now? It doesn't reflect. It probably doesn't reason. It doesn't calmly consider your best options. No. Your mind, it goes straight back to what it knows best. The mind always defaults to its strongest and most familiar patterns. So whatever response has been repeated the most over time becomes the automatic reaction, the default. So if stress or worry or overthinking or even anxiety have been practiced in your thoughts, in your mind for years, well, that response will show up instantly under pressure, faster than conscious thought. That's why people often say things like, I know better, but I still react the same way. And that's the key. That reaction is not a choice. It's based on training. Your nervous system and your body, they're simply doing what they have learned to do over time through training. So here's why calm periods don't create real change. This is why calm periods can feel confusing. People often say, I'm fine when life is easy, but I fall apart when things get busy or hectic. Nothing went wrong during the calm phase. The mind just simply wasn't being tested. Calm doesn't retrain patterns. What it does is it hides them. Pressure exposes what the body and nervous system and mind have already learned. And until that response under pressure is trained differently, the same reaction will continue to appear again and again and again. That's why Nordic Mindset is built on a completely different philosophy. Not just talking, not just insight, not just understanding, but training. Because insight and understanding without training doesn't change the automatic reaction. So why does stress feel like it always comes back? Stress and anxiety don't return because they're permanent. They don't return because something is broken inside of you. They simply return because the same trigger meets the same trained response. And as long as the mind associates pressure with danger or urgency, maybe loss of control, it will keep reacting pretty much the same way. Trying to think your way out of it rarely works because the reaction has already happened before conscious thought even gets involved. That's why willpower always fails. You can't override training with intention or willpower. You cannot decide your nervous system into calm if it's already been trained into alarm. This is why people feel stuck, not because they're weak, but because they're running the same mental program under pressure that they've been running for years. And they do it every single time. Put on that captain's hat. And this is where Nordic Mindset begins, because the solution isn't to escape pressure. Life will always contain pressure. The solution is to step into leadership, to stop living as a passenger in your own mind, and instead put on that captain's hat. Be the leader your mind desires you to be, not by controlling every thought, but by training your response. Leadership means this. Even when pressure shows up, even when the mind starts pulling towards stress, you know how to stay steady. You know how to regulate. You know how to respond differently. That is mental training. That is Nordic Mindset. So what actually needs to change? Not life, not responsibility, not ambition, not challenges. What needs to change is this. It's the response. When the mind is trained to stay regulated, while pressure is present, the entire experience of stress changes. Pressure no longer equals panic, and responsibility no longer equals overwhelm. A busy week no longer equals collapse. That's when people stop saying it feels like it's coming back, because the trigger is always there, but the trained response is different. That is real change. Not symptom management, but response transformation. What we consistently see in practice. This is actually one of the clearest shifts in our clients. They don't say, life became easy. No, they say, pressure feels different now. Situations that used to hijack their system no longer do. They're able to stay present, they recover faster, they don't spiral the same way. They stop overthinking every single little thing. They stop feeling emotionally hijacked by their system. They stop being pulled into stress automatically. And that is the difference. Managing symptoms and creating the change in the response. So what actually needs to change then? It's not life. It's not responsibilities. It's not ambition. And it's not challenges. Those will always be there. What needs to change is, of course, the response. When the mind is trained to stay regulated, while pressure is present, the entire experience of stress changes. Pressure no longer equals panic. Responsibility no longer equals overwhelm. A busy work week no longer equals collapse. That is when people stop saying it keeps coming back. Because the trigger, it's still there. But the trained reaction is different. That is real change. It isn't symptom management. It's response transformation. And this is one of the clearest shifts in our clients. They don't say, life just all of a sudden became easy, because it doesn't. They say, pressure feels different now. Situations that used to hijack their systems no longer do. They are able to stay present. They recover much faster. They don't spiral the same way. They stop overthinking everything. They stop feeling emotionally hijacked. They stop being pulled into stress automatically. And that is the difference between managing symptoms and changing the response at its core. Nordic Mindset is not about avoiding discomfort. It's about training stability inside of discomfort. That is leadership. That is putting on the captain's hat and becoming the leader of your mind. So if this explanation describes your experience, if you have ever thought, why does it always come back when life gets busy? Now you know. It's not because you failed. It's not because you're broken, because you're not. It's because the mind defaults to what it has practiced most. But the good news is that anything that has been trained can be retrained. And that is exactly what we do inside Nordic Mindset, inside the full program. So the next step is simple. You can book a completely free, no strings attached call with me, where we talk about your situation. We can see whether Nordic Mindset training is the right fit for you. You'll find the link as the first link in the description on this page. But until then, please remember, put on the captain's hat. Step into the role of mental leadership. Become the leader that your mind desires you to be. All you need is training, and we'd be happy to help you with that.